One of the things that we really think people should take away from sort of the beginnings of the discussions about implementation of the convention is that it's very promising that we have it. It's a great basis for dialogue with a country that signed it, but the convention itself is just the piece of paper. And so the implementation is really critical, and I think there's a lot of hope about the convention, but we don't have a lot of evidence yet about how it's going to work, especially now we have, there's a monitoring mechanism that was just developed this year, and so it hasn't even begun to be implemented yet, but there's a lot of talk about it. People are very excited. It took a huge amount of negotiation to get this monitoring mechanism in place, but it is a negotiated compromise mechanism, and it's really important for people to realize, for instance, that all of the material that's in the prevention chapter of the convention, which is the core development work of governance advisors, economic governance advisors, isn't even covered in the review mechanism until 5 years from now. The first round covers criminalization issues and international collaboration on asset recovery and things like that. So very important. Everybody is happy that we have the convention, but there's a great deal that remains to be seen about how it will be implemented. And again, it just depends on the initiative of the country itself. And I think anyone related to the convention, even those who are completely involved in its implementation, and will tell you that this is just a piece of paper until the countries actually do something about it. Another thing I think donor practitioners are often quite interested in is supporting an anti-corruption strategy in a country. And again, we've done some research showing that, first of all, there are a lot of strategies that don't work. Sometimes the process overtakes the content, and we have very long, very consultative, kind of checking all the right boxes for how you make a policy, but you end up with something that is so big and has so many action points that it actually can't even be implemented. And no one has evaluated whether or not the right people were even in the room who need to implement those steps. So we've really argued that anti-corruption policies need to be in place, but they need to be focused, they need to be prioritized. We need to really avoid the attraction of funding a process that ends up with something that then can't be implemented or just becomes the goal in itself as opposed to the implementation. They can use it as first of all, a learning tool for themselves if they're new to anti-corruption. It's a really great way to sort of get a sense of what counts as anti-corruption in a government structure. It's a lot of things that people don't necessarily immediately think of. A lot of people tend to think of anti-corruption commissions, big anti-corruption strategies. Those can be found in the convention, but so can public finance reform, so can a number of other areas that you wouldn't necessarily think of as anti-corruption.